This is Nadir Shah in Chicago, and you're watching my channel, Knowledge for Quality of Life. Friends, as I promised last time that I'll be talking about supplements and protocol. But before I do that, it's not going to be only supplements and protocol, but remember that, I started this journey back in 2016 with few objectives. Only one objective in the beginning was uh, about the HDL. I was pretty low in HDL, which is typical with many Asians. And I was at 27. So the journey began actually with this question. And along the way, in the last 8 years, few other things I found out. And I have listed some bullet points that what were my objectives and what protocol I reiterated by doing many trials and error over the years, last 8 years, and where I am today. So I thought that, I'm going to share with you, it's kind of like my footprint, and including my wife. And remember that, in the past, we have shared, I have actually mentioned this thing that I am ApoE genotype 3.3 and my wife is 3.4. So remember that, whatever I'm sharing here, it's pertaining to those two genotypes. So before I go into the details, I would strongly recommend to my viewers, my friends, my community learners, to watch the video till the end, because watch time is totally dependent on an individual. But if you miss one or two other points, you're going to miss the boat, because each and everything which I have shared here or I've been sharing here, it's not only based on the literature, but based on my application in my life, in my family's life. And I'm sharing this with you as a footprint so that somebody may get benefit out of it. Because, when I started this journey, I didn't have any footprint whatsoever. And it took me hours and hours, hundreds and thousands of hours to figure out things. So I'm not saying that, it's a cookie cutter footprint, but it may give you some clues to build on it, based on your scenario. So let me share my screen with you. So what you're seeing here, I captioned this thing as lifestyle, diets, and supplement as our best practices. Remember that, this is not an easy task because, doing the lifestyle modification, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of protocol. And sometimes, as I mentioned in the past, that, our body is so dynamic that nature has created that we have some leeway to some extent that body can take some shocks once a while. But, what we are talking about here is daily routine practice. So these were my objectives in the beginning, increase my HDL because I was pretty low at 27, being more insulin sensitive because my fasting insulin was above 6, and my lower small LDL particles, which is low density lipoprotein particles. These are the particle counts which I have explained in my previous vlogs. They are very atherogenic in nature because they carry smaller size, they have a smaller surface area, they get oxidized pretty quickly, and they participate in building the atherosclerosis, which we call it common language as plaque in the arteries, whether it be a coronary arteries or carotid arteries. So I was pretty high, around 666, my small LDL particles. Then I had an objective that to lower my triglyceride, because I have illustrated in the previous vlog that triglyceride goes hand in hand with small LDLP. The lower the triglyceride goes, you drive your small LDLP lower as well, and vice versa. If your triglyceride is high, then your small LDLP is going to be a function of that. It's going to be high as well. And stop my stop or lower my CAC score, which is calcium progression, which I found in the beginning of 2018. So these were my objectives. And over the years, this thing I didn't come up with in 1 year. I did many iterations, many trials and error, what worked, what not, in yearly blood work, yearly testing, and I tweak it, and I changed some modification along the way, and I came up with this thing, which is in front of you, which I'm sharing with you, because I almost achieved all the objectives which I have laid down in the first line here. So first, my lifestyle, these are general lifestyle which I am practicing in our household. Limit any processed foods as much as possible. That is, avoid refined sugar, including high glycemic load fruits, particularly in our case. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but see where you are. You remember that we wanted to make ourselves more insulin sensitive, so our HOMA-IR should be under 1. Because insulin is the driving force besides all the in all the non-communicable diseases. So insulin is the prime factor which we need to have control over, and avoid any refined carbs, all the grains and refined carbs, seeds and grains, and all the seed oils, just like safflower oil, sunflower oil, corn oil. All these oils are high in omega-6 and 9. We need to stay away from them. Incorporate whole foods the way nature has produced on daily basis. Of course, eat close to nature, period. Remain active as much as possible, including doing all the household chores. This is our normal mantra. We do all our household chores by ourselves, even though I can afford maid, but I decided not to, because as long as we can work, we can be mobile, we can be active, that's good for us, efficiency-wise, mobility-wise, and activity-wise. So I see a lot of people, they go to a gym, and not that, it's bad to go to the gym, but they have a robotic vacuum in the house, because they don't do as much as daily chores as they should. And of course, everybody has their own priorities, but, we decided to put our effort in daily chores, whatever it may be, around the house. We try to do as much as possible. I am way different than many of them out there. I do a lot of work on my own cars in the garage. I do maintain myself. I'm not asking anyone to go that far, but I enjoy it, and it's my hobby. And I learned a lot, because it's part of the learning over the last 30 years. I adapted. So I hardly take my cars to the mechanic unless there's some recall or campaign or something, or timing belt. Otherwise, I do maintain my all brake jobs and oil changes and tune-ups and everything. Stretches and 30 minutes extremely fast-paced walk in the solar sun. So I do stretches, yoga stretches, and then 30 minutes extensively fast-paced walk. It's in such a speed that my heart starts pounding, and it's daily. I do it religiously, whether it's rains or shines, or it's a winter. The only time we have a heated track in our village where we live, during the winter, when there's a snow on the sidewalks where there's a chance of slipping, then I go indoor and use the heated track, indoor walk. They have a round walk about 1.5 miles in circumference, and we utilize that. When I say solar sun in the summer, it happens between, because I've mentioned in the previous vlog that there is a DMinder app on your Android and Apple. Wherever you are on the planet, it's going to ping you when the solar sun is out. Solar sun is something that, when you cast your shadow the shortest, and you make the vitamin D when your skin is exposed to UVB rays. And that happens about approximately between noon and 2 p.m. So I go for a walk in summer and utilize that. That way I make some nitric oxide as well. Minimum 12-hour gap between eating breakfast and dinner. So by the time we eat dinner and in the morning breakfast, has to be 12 hours gap minimum. Remember that I mentioned this thing, that, the frequently we eat, we activate our insulin, and, we become less insulin sensitive over time because our pancreas works harder and harder. And you have to make sure that, give your pancreas some break time, some vacation, so that, some time to rest, so that, when you really need it, your pancreas is efficient, pretty well efficient, to rescue you from your blood glucose into the, and send it to the cells. And then minimum 3 to 4 hours gap between the dinner and before going to sleep at night. We don't eat late at night. We don't munch. We don't snack. We don't drink anything. And we at least make sure that, we have 3 to 4 hours gap between the dinner and going to bedtime for night sleep. 6 to 7 hours of sleep at night. Hopefully, I'll share some data on it that, 6 to 7 hours sleep has a J curve, means it's very optimum. Anything less than 6 to 7 hours or anything more than that, it's detrimental to our health. So 6 to 7 hours from 8:30, we try to go to bed 8:30, 9 at the most, and wake up early in the morning, 3:30 or 4 o'clock. 1 tablespoon of edible castor oil, which is a natural laxative, once a month for colon cleansing. This has been taught by mom when I was a kid. My mom used to do it as a ritual every month, and I've been doing it, since then. So it's my habit. The last one here is half a cup of magnesium bicarbonate water mixed with drinking water every time for required elemental magnesium 3 times a day. You remember I shared with you how I make my magnesium bicarbonate water just to get my elemental magnesium. So half a cup gives me 200 milligrams of elemental magnesium. And I try to consume about 2 full cups. So half a cup, I filled it up with 3 times liter water bottle. And then I take half a cup raw magnesium bicarbonate with dinner. Then my breakfast, 3 drops of nascent iodine mixed with little distilled water, at least minimum 30 minutes before breakfast. This nascent iodine, now iodine is a very, very crucial mineral, which I believe that 95 to 97% of the world population is deficient in. And iodine is one of the major players in our thyroid health. And you know that thyroid is our thermostat of our body, and it intervenes in almost all the hormones in our body. So when I get tested a few years back, I was low in iodine, as suspected, and I started with 1 drop, because this nascent iodine is an atomic iodine, means it has an electromagnetic charge, and it gets dissolved in our system, in our body pretty well, gets absorbed, rather than in the form of sea salt. Because sea salt, how much salt you're going to eat with to get the enough iodine? Because salt, too much salt is not good either. You need decent amount of salt in your body so that your sodium level is in the range. So I started with 1 drop, and recently, this year, earlier, I increased to 3 drops, and recently I checked my iodine level. Actually, in fact, day before yesterday, I got my result, so I'm at 78. I started with 51. Now, you cannot have too much iodine in your body, because it's bad as well. So you have to have decent amount of iodine, and the range is, I believe, if I recall, 51 to 109. But according to Dr. Brownstein, he said that that's not adequate range either. So you have to have at least a normal range, but you have to have enough iodine in the body for your thyroid to function in efficient way. And particularly in Midwest, we are living in a goiter belt, because a lot of people get hypothyroidism, and then doctor puts you on Synthroid, which is levothyroxine. That's not good, because my wife was getting close to it as a subclinical hypothyroidism, and I included this thing along with selenium, and she came down way around 2.5 of her TSH. We'll talk more about this testing, about TSH, T3, and T4, which I do on a yearly basis. Then in the breakfast, I use mixed berries, which is strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, 2 pasture-raised soft-boiled eggs with iodized sea salt and ground black pepper. Black pepper has a chromium, and this is a trace mineral as well. You have to have enough chromium because it opens your cellular floodgates for your blood sugar from your blood to get into the cells. This black pepper is very rich in chromium. So that's why you need to incorporate some black pepper in your, as I said, that black pepper is also important to activate the curcumin as well in turmeric, because chromium is the one which activates the turmeric, a curcumin in turmeric. Otherwise, curcumin is not going to be as effective as it should be. Then half avocado, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So I abbreviated EVO, with high polyphenols. I'll be doing separate vlog on extra virgin olive oil. Make sure that whatever olive oil you are getting, it's rich in polyphenols, because that's why we consume olive oil. Otherwise, there is no purpose of olive oil, because olive oil has a lot of other good stuff besides just polyphenols. We'll talk a little bit more in detail when I'll do the separate vlog on extra virgin olive oil. Low carb coconut bread with frozen cranberries and walnuts, and cup of fresh pour over coffee, black coffee, which I mentioned in my previous vlog, where I shared how I make and what is my typical breakfast. Mixed pre-soaked nuts, few pistachios, walnuts, few peanuts, 1 to 2 Brazilian nut. Now again here, Brazilian nut I include for selenium. This is also a trace mineral. Selenium and from the Brazilian nut, it has about, mid-size Brazilian nut has about 75 to 90%, 90 microgram of selenium in it. So 1 to 2, that's it, not more, because if you are more in selenium, it can be toxic. So you have to be mindful of that. And this selenium and iodine, they work in conjunction for the thyroid metabolism. For thyroid health, these 2 trace minerals are very, very crucial. Of course, selenium is also good in other areas, just like, for males, particularly in the prostate health, it's very good. So one has to be up to date in selenium, because there's a test of selenium. You can test it out in your blood, that, how much selenium you have. And if you are deficient, then you have to, update it with 1 Brazilian nut a day. That's it. There are other foods available, which has some trace minerals of traces of selenium, but abundantly available is in Brazilian nut. 1 dry fig and 1 dry apricot. Then I have 1 a day multivitamin for male, made from natural ingredients, whole foods. It could be from any brand. Make sure that they are not made up of synthetics. And the reason is that I try my level best to include all the minerals and vitamins and trace minerals, everything through food. But of course, as we age, our absorption capacity goes down naturally. It's not, we cannot do anything about it. That's how nature has wired us. So as we age, our absorption goes down. So you need to consume a little bit more to be up par to the level. So that's why I added one a day multivitamin. And then I've been taking for years and years 1,000 milligram of krill oil as opposed to fish oil, because it's more bioavailable. It's a little bit expensive than fish oil, but I just love it. And it includes the potency of increasing your HDL. It lowers to some extent your bad cholesterol. It helps in small LDLP as well. It has a phospholipids. It has a omega-3. Those are all good stuff which your body needs, your brain needs, your heart needs. But make sure that it's approved by ICOS. Now, what is ICOS? ICOS is an organization, is a standard. It stands for International Krill Oil Standard. Similarly, if you are consuming fish oil, make sure that that fish oil is approved by IFOS. It's International Fish Oil Standard. So these are the organizations which goes through the testing, rigorous testing, and approves a product for a given retailer or given manufacturer. Then in dinner, I have stir-fry mixed vegetables, which I have shared one vlog how I make it, with 2 tablespoons of homemade natto. This natto provides me about 2 tablespoons. Each tablespoon has about 150 micrograms of K2 MK7. That is the form which me and my wife can easily consume. But if somebody is ApoE22 or carry ApoE2 allele, they have to be mindful that they cannot clear MK7 pretty fast, which I have discussed last time. So they have to watch for this natto consumption. Otherwise, they can have some backup issues and they will not feel good. Some kind of a palpitation or some other issues. Some sleeping issues and all that, because their clearance rate for MK7 is much slower, and MK7 has a higher half-life of 72 hours. They are much better off allele 2 folks with MK4. So remember that. Then chicken liver for all the nutrients of B complex, and all the minerals, nutrients. This is the most potent thing which one can find on the planet, twice a week. I just take one serving is about 3 ounces for each person. That's all. And I make it fresh and just consume it with the dinner. Main course meal is sometimes sockeye, which is wild-caught salmon, sometimes yellow lentils, sometimes it's chicken, sometimes grass-fed beef with little brown rice. And this is the only form of actually complex carb I eat along with the veggies. Then I have 5,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily. I consume vitamin D as next to my oxygen, just like I breathe. Because I can tell you one thing, I have done many vlogs on vitamin D, and still I think I haven't said enough. Because what I have read in last 8 years on vitamin D, it just, every time I look at it, it just gives me a mind-boggling concept that how a single vitamin can do so many things. And there are some myths out there. There are some wrong information out there. Maybe it's by design, I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, that since I fixed my D from 2016, I never got sick, or I never had any antibiotic in my body. because before that, I used to get pretty quick, 3 to 4 times strep a year. And my doctor said that, if you hit 6 times a year, we need to do a tonsil surgery because, it's not good. And since 2016, I fixed my D. I didn't have any strap. I didn't consume any antibiotic whatsoever. And by the way, I don't take any flu shots any given year either. So, and this vitamin D, 5,000 keeps me at about 80 nanograms per milliliter. I know that some people take vitamin D 10,000, 15,000. You may not need it 10,000 because you need to know how to take it. I would say 90% of the people don't take it the right way. And when I say right way means they take it with either empty stomach or not with a full meal. The protocol for vitamin D is that you have to consume, number one, you have to consume with the largest meal of the day, whatever it is. If your largest meal is your breakfast, so be it. If your largest meal is lunch, so eat with lunch. If your largest meal is dinner, eat with dinner. So my largest meal is dinner, so I consume with dinner. Now, I consume D, and right then and there, along with D, I consume my vitamin K2 supplement, 500 micrograms. So I consume 2 tablespoons of natto, which is about 300, and 500 microgram of my supplement, which gives me 800. Now, somebody may say that, do I need 800? Because I had the calcium score of 98, then it went to in 2021 169. Then I did another one in May this year, and it stopped at 169. Because some people say that, some doctors even say, or some medical professionals say that if you consume too much vitamin D, you are going to calcify your arteries. I have actually dropped my calcium level in blood. So when I was not taking vitamin D, when I was deficient, my serum calcium was about running 9.5 and 9.6. When I started correcting my D level went from 20 to 80, because when I was deficient, I was at 20. When I was sufficient at therapeutic level, I was at 80. So by theory, my calcium in the blood serum should have increased too. And my doctor was shocked that my calcium dropped. So my calcium came at 9.2 from 9.6. So it's 4/10 point it dropped. Doctor said, how it's possible? Because what D does? D magnifies the calcium absorption by 20 folds in your blood. So basically, D is one of the job of D is to have the calcium absorption power in your blood, besides numerous things. So it's just like my K2 took the excess calcium out of the body and sent it to my bones where it should belong, or my teeth. So my calcium level actually dropped, which is a good sign, which is against the common thinking, but I proved it. It worked. So that's another myth. And what I'm saying, that if you're taking D with your largest meal of the day, with K2 as a cofactor, I take with half a cup magnesium bicarbonate water. I just use that half a cup raw magnesium bicarbonate water to gulp it down my vitamins, my supplements. And then after that, I have a couple of tablespoons of homemade grass-fed whole milk yogurt. Remember that vitamin D and K2 both are fat soluble. So one of the criteria for fat soluble vitamin, you have to eat with some fat. Okay, so I consume this yogurt, full fat yogurt, as a fat provision. If you eat too much fat, it's not good either. It's going to dissolve vitamin D in your lower gut pretty quickly. It will not be available to get it absorbed over the term. over the time, and your level is not going to come up, and then you will think that, oh, this number is not, this IU's 5,000 is not good for me. Maybe I need 10,000, but that's not true always. It may be true because some folks may have a issue of malabsorption because of the bile issue, because of your gallbladder or something else. So give it a chance first. Start with the low dose. If it can be fixed with low dose, why you need to take a higher dose? That's my point. So take with the right protocol, as I have listed, means take D with your K2 as a cofactor, with your magnesium as a cofactor, and with your small, some fat, like a probiotic, because, this yogurt has a probiotic, culture bacteria, and probiotic is good. It helps you. So this way, if you take it, you're going to increase your D absorption almost 30 to 40% more than you would have consumed just D itself. So this is documented in literature, and this is proven by my case as well. I have proved it, because I've been taking 5,000 for years, and I'm okay. And as a rule of thumb, it's anywhere between you would need 1,000 IU for 25 pound of your body weight. So if somebody is an average, if you are 100 pound, you need to have at least 4,000 IU. That's the guideline, just rule of thumb. But it is a function of your body weight. If you have a higher BMI, you need more, because again, it's a function of weight. Then 1 to 2 square of 70% or more dark chocolate with only natural ingredients. So when I say natural ingredients, what I look for? I look for cocoa mass, I look for cocoa butter, and of course it's going to have a little bit sugar, but I look for not refined sugar, either cane sugar or any natural form of sugar. And just 1 to 2 square. I don't go gaga on dark chocolate. So it has a magnesium as well, and it has a lot of other rich minerals and polyphenols and good stuff. But remember that my wife cannot take dark chocolate because she doesn't have a low blood pressure, but her pressure is on the low side, like 95, 100, the upper number. So if she takes it, because cacao makes your blood pressure drop as well. Cocoa powder and pure cacao is going to drop your blood pressure too. So, be mindful of that. It doesn't bother me. I'm perfect. And then at the end, in the dinner, I consume roasted fennel seed. So I'll show you in a bit, along with dill seeds. And dill seeds, I carry in the bottle. I carry in the bottle in my on my table, and just take 1 teaspoon of these roasted fennel seeds and dill seeds. Now, dill seeds are very, very good. Now, dill seed has rich in vanadium. That's a metal. Now, what vanadium and chromium does in black pepper, it opens your floodgates for the cells for your blood sugar to go in and store as energy. So it's good for your blood glucose management. Dill seed is going to make you a better insulin sensitive person. You don't have to gobble too much dill seed. Too much vanadium is not good either. So remember that, complacency is the key. Balance is the key. You don't go gaga on something which is good, because then it may, become poisonous for one. So let me stop share the screen here. And this is the nascent iodine, and I take 3 drops. I started with 1 drop, and I build it up for my iodine level. And I take 3 drops in distilled water, 30 minutes before, at least 30 minutes. If it's more than that, that's fine. Sometimes I take it before, and even 1.5, 2 hours, sometimes at least, but I make sure that, it's 30 minutes gap from the time I take it and I consume my breakfast. And this is funnel seed. Everybody is familiar with funnel seed. In our Asian cultures, we call it 𝗪𝗠. And this is a dill seed. The green dills also available in the marketplace. But these are the dill seeds. This is like a sort of a cumin seed, but it's not cumin looking like. It has a little bit flat surface. So I take half a cup of this and half a cup of funnel seed and roast it, take all the moisture content out, and store in a small bottle, and take 1 teaspoon at the end of my meal, and that's about it. And then after that, we don't eat anything and go to bed. So this is my protocol, and I wanted to share with you. Some folks ask me my supplement. Remember that I don't have too many supplements. Just very few where I cannot find abundantly that thing in food, because D is not anywhere in the food. It's very minuscule. For instance, a glass of milk has 50 IU. So for 5,000 IU, I have to gulp it down 50 glasses of milk. It's impossible. And remember that the yogurt which I make, I wanted to mention one thing. That yogurt I make in homemade yogurt from grass-fed milk with whole vitamin D milk, and I ferment longer. A lot of people make homemade yogurt, which is great idea, but they ferment for maybe 4 hours or 6 hours because they don't like sour. But or if it gets too sour, then they think that yogurt is bad, or they cannot consume it. But let me tell you the scientific reason of sourness. What happens that the longer fermentation produces sour yogurt, because the longer the fermentation you do, what happens that the bacteria, the culture which you have added to make the yogurt, that culture multiplies. Those bacteria multiply in millions and millions of units. So the unit for bacterian culture is called CFU, colony for units. So the more the bacteria gets infused in the fermented product, better it is for your health, even though if it's sour, right? But why it becomes sour? You have to think about that scientific reason. Because bacteria love sugar. They thrive on sugar. So the lactose and the sweetness in the milk, they consume everything over time. So the longer you ferment, they're going to suck it down, all the lactose and all the sugary content from milk, and your milk will become, your yogurt will become almost sugarless. And that's why it becomes too sour. So don't feel bad if you can consume, but don't add sugar to make it sweeter and then consume. That you kill the purpose, right? So I ferment my yogurt about 18 to 20 hours. And I just made it today. Hopefully one of these days when I make my yogurt, how I take the cream out after pasteurizing the milk. And that cream is completely full fat. And sometimes we use with my bread. I use actually. My wife cannot take it because she's carrying 1 copy of 4. So that's a saturated fat. So this is healthy eating. I realize that, it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. I think my feeling is that, lifestyle adaptation is a little bit requires more discipline, and it's more difficult than hitting the gym. Because controlling I remember that when I was young, my mom used to say that, whatever tastes good to your tongue, think of that it's bad for your health. And she has had the wisdom. She taught me that, but I can see the scientific reason now. Then I can connect the dots now that what is the weightage in that that wisdom, right? So with that, I'm going to end here, and hopefully I'm going to start next time. Few other tests are remaining, which are very crucial for my community of learners to know. If you want to do it, I did it in the past, and I do it once a while. Those are very crucial for your health as well. So I'll come up with one vlog, including few tests, and see you then. Bye.